Everybody keeps asking me how I make my green tea, so I'm going to show you quickly. So what you want to do is you want to fill a full pot of water, cold water, and turn it on to high like you'd boil water in general. It'd be helpful if I turned on the right burner, but I do that often. So you're going to fill it pretty much all the way full. I don't know what size pot that would be, but it's a pretty good size pot. It's what I use for spaghetti, so fill it all the way with cold water. To make the best tasting iced tea, the more quality water the better. So I do use Poland Spring water. We get the 5-gallon buckets. You don't get that nasty tap water taste or bitterness using that kind of water. So what we're going to do after that, once it comes to a boil, we're going to put 12 tea bags in the pot. So I buy and recommend Tazo Zen. It's just really refreshing. I buy it at Target. It's in the tea aisle. It does have a kind of a light mint taste to it, but it's barely noticeable in my opinion. I drink about 64 ounces of this a day or more, unsweetened, or use Splenda or Truvia, anything that's not high calorie based, really. Splenda is just something I prefer over any of the alternative sweeteners. Agave would probably be good too, but again, Splenda has 0 calories, so that's what I use. And it comes in a white and a green box at Target down the tea aisle, and it is Tazo, and it does make the best iced green tea out there in my opinion. And as you can see, I have a full drawer of it because I pretty much go through a 2-liter a day. So, and I use 12 tea bags batch. You can buy them in iced tea versions, however, you don't get the same flavor, and you end up spending more money because there's only 4 tea bags per box, and you still need to use pretty much the 4 tea bags to get the flavor that I get from it. So here are my 12 tea bags that I have already pulled apart. Let me set aside. What I do is I open them all up. And then I once the water boils, I shut the water off because you don't need to boil it at that point anymore. You do want a good boil, constant bubbles like you would put in spaghetti. Once the bubbles start, you shut off the burner and then put all of your tea bags in the water. Keep the string and everything on there. And then I let it sit for 15 minutes. So that's how you do it. So I'm going to start opening the tea bags. Hold this for me. Okay, so we're just going to open the tea bags. And this is what they look like when they come out. I just set them on this counter, and it's a little time consuming, it's a pain in the butt, but the overall end product is worth it. And it's actually less expensive than going to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or buying pre-bottled tea, because you get about, I would say about 24 per box, and you can sweeten it how you like. You have control over what you're putting in it. And if you don't like the taste of the darkness for the 15 minutes, then I would recommend just letting it sit for about 5 minutes if you like the lighter flavor. The reason I let mine sit for 15 minutes is I like a really dark flavored tea, and I like all the benefits of it sitting longer. It just tastes better to me. But if it's too strong, instead of doing 15 minutes, let the bag sit for 5, and you probably will get a little bit better of a flavor that you'll be looking for. So just opening the tea bags, and I ended up figuring out that 12 kind of is the magic number for this size water. That's just through trial and error. Again, if you want less of a deeper, if you don't like the deep flavor that you're going to get out of this, reduce the tea bags or reduce the amount of time you let the tea bags sit in the boiled water. either of those two will help you get a lighter flavor. So there are my 12 tea bags. Just keep it on the... Okay. Alright, and literally now we're waiting for water to boil. I use this pitcher to put my tea in. Key part to this is that you do not want to pre-sweeten your iced tea. Because first of all, it's all going to settle to the bottom, and it also makes the tea kind of ferment, like turn into beer, I'd say. You want to leave it unsweetened in the refrigerator, and you don't want to have it sitting in the refrigerator for more than 3 days. Just doesn't taste the same. So like I said, I go through one of these a day, one of these 2 liters a day, and that's what I do. So we're almost at a boil here. Okay, so now that I can actually start to see bubbles coming up from the pot is steaming, it's hot. I'm going to take my 12 tea bags with strings and everything, and I'm just going to dump it into the pot like that. I like to try to move it around for the initial part of it, just so that they all get saturated, and then you're just going to let the tea bags hang over the side. Again, make sure you turn off the burner because you don't want to continue to boil it because it just needs to steep now. As you can see, my water is turning green because the tea is dispersing into the water here. And you don't really need to move them around that much. I usually do just for the first couple of seconds. And then I set my timer because you don't want to overdo it. I like it at 15 minutes, so I set my timer for 15 minutes, so don't forget, because let's all just agree that sometimes we space things out. And that's it, and then I'll show you what I do after that. Okay, so now that we've waited our 15 minutes, what I do is I take the strings of the tea bags, and I use a spatula, and I put them on the spatula, and then use a spoon, and try to squeeze out all of the liquid that I can from the tea bags, because believe it or not, a lot of the flavor is going to be in there still. No, they don't need to see me. Okay, and then... So I'm trying to just get all the flavor out of the tea bags. Okay, keep it on the pot of tea. Okay, and then I take my 2 liter pitcher, and this is going to be hot, so please be careful. And you're going to pour it, oops, see, into the pitcher. Hopefully not all over your foot like I just said. Now, that pretty much fills the 2 liter. What I do, just because it is very strong, the way that I brew it, you can see how dark the green tea is. Keep moving. What I do is I top it off with a little bit of cold water, just to finish it off. Again, it's unsweetened. This is going to be hot. Put the cover on, and you need to refrigerate this, because if you just want to drink it, I mean, you could drink it hot, but I like it iced. So what I do is put it in the refrigerator, and about 4 hours it should be cooled down or less. And then I buy Splenda in big packages. Even has the breakdown in the back of what you'd use for sugar in your iced tea, what to use for Splenda. So, happy drinking green tea.